Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Covert, and I am so excited to be sitting down at home with my good friend and colleague, Principal Flutist Xue Su. Xue, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Thank
I miss you.
you too.
Because of the restrictions in on the size of the ensemble that we can have on stage, or lately have been, Shui and I have not seen each other in months and months, it feels like. So I guess it's better to have a flute section like this than none at all, right?
Yeah.
hmm So we're having you on today because you are playing in this week's concert, the Farrenc and Mendelssohn concert. You were playing on the Farrenc Nonet, which is a chamber piece for 9 musicians. And so we're super excited to have flutes on stage once again. So how are rehearsals going for the Nonet?
They're going really well. It's a really exciting piece, and I think it's not a super usual ensemble. I don't get to play chamber music too often with my string colleagues, so it's been exciting. And
So what is the combination of instruments that's on stage?
so it is 5 wind players, like a usual woodwind quintet, plus 4 strings. That is violin, viola, cello, and bass. And I'm really excited to get to play chamber music with Spencer, our principal bass, because I don't ever get to play anything with him in this kind
hmm
of setting. So
hmm
it's cool.
And you're performing this as chamber music without a conductor, right?
Yep.
So how has that been going? What is the process like when you have 9 musicians and not really a leader per se? Like typically the conductor would sort of determine the outcome of the piece, but with chamber music, it's really all of the musicians joining together to sort of even out their own interpretations. How has that been working for the 9 of you?
Um, it's been working out really well. Sorry, Larry.
We do miss you, Larry.
Yes, of course. But I was really happy to find out that we'll be playing this piece actually without a conductor because 9 people is doable without a conductor, and I think it could be challenging without that leader role sitting in the middle, but standing in the middle. But when you have a group of people that are so intelligent and creative, we work out a way to communicate without stepping on each other's toes. And it's challenging, but it's also a um, healthy healthy process for us musicians who work together all the time to not only figure things out music wise, but also to communicate through your language and trying to make a group decision and pick on the best interpretations and the best musical ideas from everyone's perspective.
hmm
I think it's going really well.
Good. Well, and I think it really speaks to not that we don't love our music director and having a conductor on stage, but I think it also speaks to the level of musicianship that our musicians have, that they can work together and do this thing in a way that is unusual for us as an orchestra, but exciting too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important to know that everybody has different approach and different ideas about one thing. And usually in an orchestra rehearsal, Larry makes the call and the conductor makes the call. But in this case, we get to make decisions as a group. And that's been really cool to see how that whole process works itself out. And yeah, it's great.
hmm So this piece, Louise Farrenc, is a female composer, female French composer living in the time of Mendelssohn,
Mhm.
right? The early 1800s. It's very unusual for a woman to be writing music and having her music performed at this time. What did you find interesting about playing her music?
Um, so before the Nonet, the only piece of music of hers that I've played was one of her symphonies, and that was we performed it in Symphoria. But the Nonet was really interesting in a way that she writes it like a symphony. It has 4 movements, and they're all very characteristic, very contrasting. And the second movement, which is the theme and variation movement, is my favorite out of the 4 because I was thinking this during rehearsals and I almost got off my measures. But it's so interesting that it almost feels like she's taking you through this tea and dessert tasting party. Every variation tastes like a different French dessert. I don't know how she does it, but it's the I remember the second variation. I think it's my favorite, where it starts with the oboe solo. Eduardo plays it so well, and it just, when I first heard him play, I just thought, oh, this is like a creme brulee. No, it's really interesting how she writes it like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, some people say they when they hear music, they see colors. So I find it fascinating that when you hear certain music, you taste desserts.
I'm not sure if I actually tasted it. Imagined it in my head.
Well, I love that, and I think that's a fun sort of visual to imagine for those of you who will be watching, to imagine as you hear that second movement, to think about what French dessert or pastry it might remind you of. It makes us all want to get up, pack up, and travel to Paris, right?
Yeah, it's a selection of desserts too.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So I want to change tacks just a little bit, and I hope this doesn't throw you off guard because we didn't talk about talking about this, but I just remembered that we're right in the middle of our Symphoria Raffle. And for everyone who is watching, you should go buy your ticket right now. But, you know, the grand prize is this beautiful original stained glass art by Bob Oddie. And of course, the $10,000 prize. Those are our 2 grand prizes, but we have 8 smaller prizes. And one of those is a private yoga session with you, who is, in addition to being an amazing and talented flutist, a certified yoga instructor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's just something I decided to do during quarantine. And, you know, this COVID year has been so horrible in many, many ways, but it did give me a ton of free time that I never had before. And I decided to do something with all this time. So since COVID, all the yoga teacher training programs have been moved online, and that was also one of the reasons why I was able to do it. So it just really occurred to me as the opportunity to really try to pursue this goal of mine to be better at doing yoga. And I wanted to do it, and I jumped on the bus and I started getting certified to teach yoga. And I think it was a very good thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had the wonderful opportunity to be able to take a yoga session with you. And that was so fun and amazing. You know, like it was on Thanksgiving, I think, right? And you had a special yoga session for just your friends, and there were a couple of people from the orchestra there, and we got to like partake. And the whole time I was thinking to myself, it's just not fair that someone can be so good at so many things.
Is that me you're talking about?
You. Mm-hmm.
Much, I'm very flattered, but I'm good at a couple of things, maybe one more, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it's amazing, and I am jealous of whoever wins the private yoga session with you, because I think that it will be just a lovely time for them to explore the art of movement with you. We're all of our prizes are about exploring our inner artists. And so we are so thankful to you for volunteering that really cool prize. And I hope that everyone is able to get their tickets, all you need to do is call the box office and Emily will get you set up with your tickets. And we're only selling 800, so your chances are very, very good that you'll win something. Well, Xue, thanks for coming and hanging out with me. I look forward to when we're on stage together again, which will be very soon. We have some bigger concerts coming up in March, so we are definitely looking forward to that.
Yay, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Enjoy the concert, everyone.